Trump said his tariffs would bring China to its knees. Instead, he caved faster than a folding chair at one of his MAGA rallies, and his team has been out there trying to defend his decision, saying it was all meant to play out the way it played out. But Jessica Tarlov over at Fox News ain't having it.
What always sticks out to me when we go on this, on this Trumpian merry-go-round is the ritualistic humiliation that he subjects the people who work for him to. So Besson says this was the plan all along. So you were okay then with being made out to be a complete liar because you've been doing interviews on our network, going on the Sunday show, saying absolutely not, that we're not capitulating on this. We're not going back on it. Caroline Levitt calling it fake news as recently as yesterday. Lutnick, he was on with you multiple times, it felt like, or it was the world's longest interview, talking about how this isn't a joke and, we'll be a manufacturing economy, which we don't even want to be.
Yep, that's the Trump loyalty test. Go on national television, make a fool of yourself, and just say the president knows what he's doing. Meanwhile, the president's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but you just go out there and tell everybody I know what I'm doing so that when I flip around and stop doing what I'm doing, you could have egg on your face. That's how it goes. And here's an example of Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent doing that.
They have some very smart, the economists, the academicians, technocrats within their bureaucracy, and they would be telling the leadership that we do not have the edge here. They are the surplus country, that their exports to the U.S. are 5 times our exports to China. So they can raise their tariffs, but so what?
But so what? But so what? Prices are going to go up, man. That's so what? That's so what? People that can't afford it are going to suffer. That's so what? But this is their plan. But so what? And then a reporter actually asked a question, and here's his response.
Can you explain more of the decision making on what feels like a reversal here? I mean, these went into effect less than 15 hours ago, these tariffs. Why the pause now? What led to that?
No. Again, President Trump created maximum negotiating leverage for himself, and which tariffs went into effect 15 hours ago? The ones that we have lowered went into effect a week ago. They were announced a week ago, and we have just been overwhelmed by the response from mostly our allies who want to come and negotiate in good faith.
Hey, you in charge, can you explain more of the decision making? Nah.
No.
That's it. Nah. That's their answer. No, I can't. I'm not going to explain it. It's some genius plan that Donald Trump had going all along, and I'm not going to tell you about it. Because the truth is, I have no idea what the hell's going on. I'm just out here moving my lips, hoping that you guys will let me go back inside, because I got to go to the bathroom and go pee. Yeah. Meanwhile, Jessica Tarlov at Fox had some more to say.
Trump even admitted that it wasn't the art of the deal or be cool. He said he was watching the bond market, and that's what decided this. He had to cave. I think CNBC's Steve Leisman, he said he didn't just flinch, he ducked. There are trillions still lost, and our very own Charlie Gasparino has been on for the last couple of hours saying that he wished it weren't so, but that the truth is that the White House capitulated. We still have tons of tariffs on, even our closest trading partners. They still don't make any sense. There's a lack of clarity on the specific numbers for Mexico and Canada.
And that right there is what happened. Even Donald Trump admitted, he said that people were getting yippy. He said we're getting yippy and they were getting worried and the bond market was getting worried. So I decided to go back on the tariffs. That's what he said, even though he had his team saying, no, it was part of the plan. Here's Jesse Waters trying to act like he knows what's going on.
How we got to this point, and obviously the market had to do it, the bond market in particular, once Japan started selling them off. And did you know earlier this afternoon that Greek bonds were a safer investment than U.S. 30 years? Can you believe that? The Greeks?
Jessica, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do.
You don't even know what a bond is. Now, Judge Jeanine, Jessica keeps on saying that Trump caved. How is this a cave if he got 75 nations to get to the negotiating table and redo their tariffs against the United States?
There he is, douchebag Jesse Waters, mansplaining to a woman, Jessica Tarlov, who just explained what bonds are and knows what bonds are probably better than he does. But he's trying to defend Dear Leader because these people all have egg on their face. Because Dear Leader went out with some crazy plan that he came up with tariffs, thinking that he's just going to flex his muscle, put tariffs on countries, everyone's going to bend the knee, and everything's going to be great. However, we all saw the market started crashing and crashing and crashing. It was going further and further down. People that are supporters of his, a lot of CEOs were coming out and saying, this is not good. It's going to lead to a recession. This cannot be a good thing. And eventually, Donnie realized that he better make a change or the market's just going to keep crashing. It crashed more and faster than it had in several years over the last week. And then once he took back this tariff that he just put in, the market started going back up again. By the way, who do you think made money during this? Rich people. Because the people who had retirement plans or who were getting ready to use the money for something else, they got victimized because they needed the money. They got victimized. They had to take the money out when the market went down. And the people who went in and bought stocks when it went down are the people who have the money to buy those stocks, which are rich people. So the rich just got richer and the poor just got poorer. That's right, folks. That's what just happened. And there was no strategy. There was no plan. If anything, Donald Trump got his ideas for the tariffs from Peter Navarro, who, I don't know if you guys saw this clip for Rachel Maddow, but you got to look it up. She analyzes how Peter Navarro had written this book called Death by China, which is basically him saying how China is taking over and how we got to be tough on China. And in his book, he quoted a guy named Ron Vera, who was an economist, who said the tariffs are good and can help the economy. Turns out Ron Vera is not a real person. Peter Navarro just made him up. He took his last name Navarro and did an anagram of it and came up with Ron Vera. And that's the guy who was advising Donald Trump on these tariffs. So we saw a lot of wealth be lost. And again, I'm sure a lot of rich people did pretty well because they could sit it out. They didn't sell any of their stocks. They just waited. Stocks went down. I'm worth $100 million. Let me take $10 million and buy some stocks at bargain basement prices and let the stocks go back up and make my money. Meanwhile, the person who was getting ready to retire, who had to pull out the money, was in the process of pulling out the money, got screwed. That's right, folks. That's what happened. And it ain't over yet. The problem is this guy's yo-yoed back so much back and forth that we don't know where he's going. So markets, yeah, today they did well, but who knows what they'll do tomorrow or the next day? We don't know because he keeps putting tariffs on, taking tariffs off. He took the tariffs for China to 100 and something %. That's not good. That's not good because China will reciprocate. Prices will go up. Prices have already started going up and they will continue to go up because nobody knows where this guy's going with it. And his whole strategy is, trust me, if we do this, we'll bring manufacturing back to America and we'll be manufacturing iPhones in America. Did you see his that guy Lutnick, who's one of his other economic advisors? He was saying that he wants iPhone factories to come back to America so that robots can screw in the phones and people, we Americans, can supervise. That's actually what he said. That's how we're going to get jobs, supervising robots. So basically, the truth is we are losing our jobs to technology and robots, but these guys want to pretend like, no, that's not what's going on. And they want to deport undocumented workers. They're screwing the economy many, many ways. Undocumented workers are being deported, and the farms are starting to suffer in places like Nebraska and other places that depended on these undocumented workers to work there. So the man who did the art of the deal really has no idea what he's doing. And he's surrounded by a bunch of people who are just sycophants and will go along with whatever he wants to do. And that's why this term is more dangerous than the first term, because there's no one there to tell him no. Matter of fact, this was an interesting one. Elon Musk started going after Peter Navarro on Twitter. Did you guys see that little spat happening? Elon Musk was saying that Navarro is a moron because Navarro is kind of a moron because, by the way, the whole idea with tariffs is, fine, we want to make other countries pay the tariffs, higher tariffs because we feel like we're paying more tariffs than they are because they tariff us and we want to tariff them. That's called reciprocal tariffs. The numbers that Trump laid out with that little chart that he had nothing to do with the tariffs. Those were the trade deficits. And the idea of a poorer country having a trade deficit where they're not buying as much from us as we are from them, well, they don't have as much money. That's why they're buying less from us, because we're a rich country, so we're buying more from them. And he was saying, he was slapping these numbers out. It made no sense. None of this made sense. There was no planning. There's nothing surgical here. This is all just one big ego that's driving us towards possibly a recession, because it hasn't stopped, folks. It hasn't stopped. So if you are in the stock market, if you have a retirement plan, just keep an eye on it. Ultimately, the truth is stock market over the past, 30, 40, 50 years has continued to go up. So if you can wait it out, then just wait it out, because eventually it'll go back up. But if you're someone who is depending on retirement expiring soon and needs to pull out their money, talk to your financial advisor, see when's the right time to do it, because it might start tanking again. We really don't know what this guy's doing. They're claiming victory because they're saying, oh, Donald Trump brought all these people to the table to negotiate with us. Well, you could have negotiated with these countries separately without causing basically a tariff war and getting us into this situation where the market tanked all that money, and it affected real people. People who are not millionaires, who had to, for whatever reason, sell their stocks at a lower price, have lost out. And the prices of goods have gone up. So those same people who are losing in the stock market are also paying more in the grocery store. So is that really the plan? I can't wait for Scott Bessent to come back. Next time they ask him, they go, so now that the country is in a recession, what are your thoughts? Any thoughts? No. Was this part of the plan? Yes. Where are we going with this? No. That's the guy. And this guy's actually supposed to be a really smart guy. But the problem is he can't express himself. Nobody who's a loyalist to Donald Trump can express themselves in earnest. I'm sure in his mind he's thinking, this is the dumbest thing we've ever done. But this reporter's asking me a question and I'm just going to say no. No, no. Oh my God. If you guys are like me, you felt the roller coaster ride this past week. I would just look at those stocks and they were just going down, down, down. I actually called my financial advisor and I said, what do you think? And he goes, just breathe in, breathe out. He goes, don't panic. I go, what do you, my yoga instructor? What do you mean, don't panic? Prices are going down. And now they've gone up a little bit. We'll see where they go tomorrow. Folks, these are crazy times. I don't know what's coming down the pike, but do talk to your financial advisor and make sure that you don't make any foolish moves. And if you're a millionaire or billionaire watching this, congratulations. You won again. I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. I've got a page, a channel right here on YouTube. It's Maz Jobrani. And I've got a lot of stand-up comedy there. So go there, follow me, give me a follow. It's free. You don't have to, no tariffs, just free. And leave a comment in one of the clips saying you came to me from Rebel HQ.